let's have a look at yet another attempt to sexualise primary school children. So we're looking at the RSHP.scot government recommended sex education resources, again used in, I would guess, most schools in Scotland. And we're looking at the second level, which is for age 9 upwards, and it's the early stage of the second level. So basically we can think 9-year-olds this is for. So this is from a slide from a lesson plan. Touching your private parts. Some children touch their penis or vulva because it can be soothing or enjoyable. This is okay. This should only be done in private. I would say this lesson, this message is completely unnecessary for pre-pubescent children. And I would say this is not just giving information. I would suggest that this comes across to the children as an invitation. Have you thought about doing this? It can be soothing and enjoyable. If you haven't, surely you'd be curious about giving this a try. Now, if you look at the animated slide there as well, the stars coming, what does that imply? Sort of excitement? Fireworks to some degree? I think it's giving that sort of message. Let's have a look at the teacher's notes for this lesson. So it says, this slide's text acknowledges that when children touch their genitals at this age, it is soothing. This is not a consciously sexual process for children who have not reached puberty. Not a consciously sexual process. That seems to be suggesting to me it is a sexual process, but they don't realise it at that age. We do not suggest that you use the word masturbation because if the activity is being delivered to a group of children who are likely to have not gone through puberty, this touching could be misunderstood to be a sexual activity. So now they're seeming to say it's not a sexual activity. However, children are exposed to language and other influences, and so if the word masturbation is mentioned by a child or a child asks if this is masturbation, this can be acknowledged as such. Now, the definition of masturbation, if you look in any dictionary, you'll find the definition is sexual or erotic. So sort of contradictory messages coming through here. So the RSHP.scot resources, they positively promote masturbation at other age groups. You can see a video in the end screen if you want to see the evidence for that. But I think the philosophy here seems to be start them young. They're taking an innocent childhood activity and they're sort of blurring it with sexuality. They're starting to label it as sexual, because that is the normal understanding and definition of masturbation. So they're blurring boundaries, they're sexualizing children. We can relate this to the World Health Organization's stance on sexuality in childhood. Their stance is that all children are sexual beings, including babies. And this has been very controversial. I mean, think about Dr. Colin Morrison, who led the RSHP.scot project. He spoke about the need to break down the barrier between childhood and sexuality. And you can see that this is the sort of message that's coming through. So the World Health Organization, look at this. So they're talking about sexuality, enjoyment and pleasure when touching one's body, early childhood masturbation. So that's what we've got in the Scottish Government's sex education resources. But then also under the heading sexuality, the fact that enjoyment of physical closeness is a normal part of everyday life. Tenderness and physical closeness as an expression of love and affection. Is that sexuality for children? You see what they're doing? They're just trying to blur the boundaries. They're trying to bring sexuality into areas of life that are not really sexual and vice versa. It's quite confusing, but you can see what they're trying to do behind it. Why are they trying to do it? I think some of the people behind this agenda are sort of sex obsessives. Their mission in life in some cases is to undermine every facet of traditional sexual morality. And one of those facets was to separate children from sexuality. Sexual activity is not for children, it's for older people, more mature people. They want to blur that boundary, they want to take away that element of traditional sexual morality. I think some of them as well, they want children to be sexually active because they think that's what's healthy for children. They think if children are not sexually active at any age, then they're somehow repressed, and that's bad for them. And also among them, there'll be a smattering of people who do actually themselves want to have sex with children. Right, one more slide from this lesson plan before we finish. This is about periods, and you can see the bottom line there. It's important to remember that not all girls have periods every girl is different and unique. Now, I'm sure that's true. Some girls won't have periods because of medical issues, but that's not really what they're talking about in this slide, is it? We know what they're talking about. They're saying some girls don't have periods because they're not really girls. They're boys who think that they're girls. So the transgender message has just been reinforced over and over again that is going to confuse children and lead, in many cases, lead them down a road that's going to be very harmful for them for decades to come. That's another little snapshot of the extremely widely used RSHP.scot sex education resources. I actually hadn't noticed this section before. I don't know if it's new or if I'd missed it before, but the Western Isles Sex Education Campaigning Group brought it to light. I've been talking about that. So it's through them that I became aware of it. So I'll just finish by issuing a final invitation to our conference on Saturday. We've got record ticket sales at the moment. Do come along. It's only £10 in Glasgow, Saturday afternoon. Non-members welcome. We would love to see you there. Thanks for watching.